they stand with America, Israel on many issues now. Yeah, they understand the problems that come from literal Islam, and I'd say Qatar, the United Arab Emirates aren't spreading the Wahhabi Salafist sects as much as Qatar are. Qatar are a massive problem. Qatar and the funding that comes from Qatar is partly the problem why we face so many problems in Europe. They've destroyed France, all the money coming out of Qatar.
How has mass Islamic immigration impacted Europe in the last 20 years? Take a look at this clip over here with Tommy Robinson, a British activist, talking about what the situation looks like in Europe, and particularly in the UK, but what it looks like across Europe nowadays. So we'll watch this clip together and then talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
Mass deportations was unthinkable. That phrase was unthinkable 24 months ago. Look how far the Overton window has shifted. Where we're going to be in 24 months. Where we need to be is strong, resilient. We need to be talking, which is why we're having a free speech festival. Because you see, if we all just spoke openly, if every single person, I've said it for years, if the public were aware of the danger and the future that's going to happen to Britain with the mass Islamic immigration, there'd be a revolution tomorrow. Okay? So we've gone through an education period where we've been trying to awaken people, and I just saw the latest figures that says 48% of the public now realise Islam isn't compatible with British values. 48%, that's good, we're getting somewhere. People are listening, people understand the truth, the reality. Again, it's not saying that every Muslim's a problem, it's just saying that we need to, the more Islam, the less freedom.
What are my friends, or some of my friends in the Emirates watching this right now, who are Islamic and who have their country, and they're looking at Tommy and they're thinking, what am I supposed to think about this guy? What are they supposed to think of the statements that you make?
Well, you have your Islamic country, and you're happy for it to be an Islamic country, and you wouldn't want anyone coming there telling you how to live your life. Yeah? We have our Christian country, it's our country, and in fact, they have a very good handle on things in the United Arab Emirates. Understand, I think the UAE is a very poor example of an Islamic country, because it's a country that's drowning in wealth. Let's look at Afghanistan and see what it's like there. Let's look at Iran and see what it's like there. What's the freedom like? What's it like for non-Muslims in those countries? What's it like for the non-Muslims in Nigeria? Yeah, where they're getting massacred by groups every day. In the Congo now, where they're getting massacred. What's it like? So I think, but the United Arab Emirates ban Muslim Brotherhood. They ban Hizb ut-Tahrir. They know how to deal with these groups. They are a very wealthy nation. They don't allow the immigration problems that we allow, and they actually try warning us. So I don't think that it's a
They have warned. There's a famous speech.
You'd see from the...
where he said...
And even Saudi Arabia now. The new king of Saudi Arabia is trying to reform. I think that a lot of those nations understand, and in fact, if you look at the alliance, they stand with America, Israel on many issues now. Yeah, they understand the problems that come from literal Islam. And I'd say Qatar, the United Arab Emirates aren't spreading the Wahhabi Salafist sects as much as Qatar are. Qatar are a massive problem. Qatar and the funding that comes from Qatar is partly the problem why we face so many problems in Europe. They've destroyed France, all the money coming out of Qatar.
Is the ultimate enemy, or one of the biggest enemies, this political correctness, this wokeism, to where people censor themselves and feel like, I can't say the obvious of what these guys are doing in my community and what they're doing to the girls? I mean, and the way they've taken, emasculated the men and taken the family out of the society and taken the religion out of the society. I mean, is that all a factor as well?
I'd say the fear is real, and I don't blame the people for having that fear. Remember, I wore a mask, yeah? So I had that fear.
Okay.
I had properties and businesses that I didn't want to lose.
Yeah.
So I didn't willingly put my face up. Yeah. I was the same as that person. Yeah. Now, what they've done is they've managed to get the whole of society financed up to the neck. Yeah, and living on the need for the job, and no one can lose the job.
Right.
So people have, first and foremost, they want to protect their family. So I don't blame them. I understand it. Yeah, I understand why they're scared, and they're rightfully scared because they have all these NGO organisations that make sure you do lose your job. Yeah, if you speak out. So they've managed to. They don't need to bring in laws against free speech. They just scare the hell out of you, and people know. Do we live? Do you hear anyone saying anymore? It's a free country. No one says it anymore. They know it's not. We've come to we now know it's not. Yeah. We don't have free speech. You will lose your job. So I don't blame people. But the problem is, that is the mass problem, that is everyone just spoke openly, but they are now. Do you know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, do you know how lonely it was trying to talk about Islam? Do you know the consequences? And people would want to spit on you, punch you. Even non-Muslims would be attacking you. That's shifted. Now, so many commentators, so many political commentators, now politicians. Yeah, you see Rupert Lowe now leading the charge in Parliament. Do you know, if up towards 1 million people turn out on September 13th, do you know how many Conservative MPs that will give courage to? That are probably in politics, that have thought the way we think, but they've all been too scared to say it. Well, that bubble's bursting. It's definitely bursting. And it's encouraging to see how many people are starting to speak up, how many commentators and presenters on radio and TV, and now how many citizen journalists there are that are openly speaking about and having these conversations. We need more speech, more free speech. We need to understand and educate on what we face, and people need to understand the real dangers of what we face. And we have, I think we're at a pivotal moment in this country's history where we're running out of time. We're running out of time. We either get a grip of this now, next 24 months, 36 months, or we may have lost our country forever. Because the demographical change through democracy, we'll lose. We're going to lose. And we're a minority. I looked at the figures for the Muslim community in Manchester. After the Salman Abedi bombing, I went up to Manchester and started looking. And I stood in one place, in one location. And within a 3-mile radius of where I stood, 22 Muslims had gone to fight for ISIS. Like, what? What is going on? Yeah? That's in Manchester. I never thought of Manchester having real bad problems. And then I started looking at the Didsbury Mosque where Salman Abedi went to. Yeah? And I went in there and I got a leaflet and I went in there to see the imam because they said, come and ask questions. And they all got security. But I went in there and it had the music made me do it. And I looked at all the extremist preachers they've had there. So they had a big banner on the side of the mosque saying, we love Manchester. I thought, you cheeky bastards. Yeah? Preacher after preacher, promoting hatred against non-Muslims, execution of homosexuals, murder people who leave Islam. Yeah? This is what's being promoted in this mosque, whilst having a sign saying we love Manchester. They're all bullshitting us, yeah? In this same mosque. So when I went into the mosque, there was a leaflet that said, the music made me do it. So I picked the leaflet up. Bearing in mind, this terrorist had just targeted Ariana Grande concert. So I read the leaflet and I looked at how many of these leaflets were sent from a place in Birmingham. They sent to mosques across the country. And they were talking about music being satanic. Yeah? This is in the mosques. So all these problems are going on in towns and cities. And when I looked at Manchester, the Muslim community went from 25,000 to 50,000 over 10 years. Yeah? The next 10 years, it went from 50,000 to 100,000, 10 years later. And in another 10 years, that's going to be 200,000. In another 10 years, Manchester's gone. That's how quickly it's going to happen. So, and that's without the Excel. When I went through the figures, I've wrote a new book called Manifesto, where I look at everything, because everything that's happening is meant to happen. They're planned it. They're doing it. Yeah, they're replacing us. This is a mass population.
Is there any way to reverse those kind of numbers? It's like a
By 2041, we're a minority in Britain. By 2041. And there could be a solution with direct democracy. So they always spoke about direct democracy historically until we had the technology to do it. Once we had the technology for it, because we can now, I'll tell you what, do you want to fund Ukraine? Ask the public. No, we don't. Yeah? Do you want to go to war? No, we don't. Do you want to close your borders? Yes, we do. Tomorrow, the borders should be closed. If we're a democratic nation, ask the public what they want. Yeah, on the major issues. But we're not a democratic nation. We don't want to be funding Ukraine, the war. We don't want our people dying. We don't want all these things. But they don't ask us. We don't matter. It's all a facade. That parliament's bullshit. 650 traitors in there. But is it too late? And it's never too late. We are accelerating towards a gone part that where it's going to be. There's no solution to our problems without chaos. When the first elected European Parliament group get in, that decide they need to mass deport some of these people, which they did. Trump's doing it now. Yeah, but remember, America's only got a 1 or 2% Muslim population. Some of these countries have got 15% in Europe. There's going to be war. They're not going to allow it. They're not going to allow it. So there's no solution without chaos. But we either have chaos now where we can survive, or you'll just give up and we've been taken over.
In order for immigration to work in any real way for a country, those that are being let into the country need to have the values that the country stands for. So the first thing that needs to happen when we're talking about immigration policy is knowing what the values that your country in its own right stands for. What is it based on? What value set, what worldview is it going by? It reminds me in a similar way of the Jewish faith. right? So the Jewish faith stands for certain things. There are certain laws and beliefs, ideas that make up Jewish identity. That is the following of the 613 commandments of the Torah, and the beliefs in the Yud Gimel, the 13 principles of faith. So as far as what the religious faith is and what religious practice looks like, it's very clearly defined. And in order to become a member of the Jewish faith, if a person wanted to do that, there's no, we don't push for that to happen at all. But if somebody wanted to, they would have to come and believe in the 13 principles of faith and observe the commandments. Like those would be part and parcel of coming in. You don't come in and say, I want to be Jewish, and then go redefine what it means to be Jewish. Well, in a similar way, when we talk about immigration, that when a person or a group of people come into a country, they have to embrace the values, the ideas, the worldview of that particular country, right? Not say, well, we're going to redefine it. We're going to make now France what we want it to be. We're going to make England what we want it to be, what our ideology is. No, if any country that's worth their salt, what's worth their existence, has to say, these are our policies, this is our worldview. If you want to come and be a part of that and help strengthen that and live off the benefits of that, you're welcome to. But it has to be to further the mission, to further the values, to further the worldview and identity of that country, not to come in and want to completely transform that which is already there. And so sometimes we see a dichotomy between those Christian countries, or the Judeo-Christian, the countries that are based on Judeo-Christian values, what I like to call Hebrew Bible values, places like Europe, places like the United States. When you have mass immigration of people from the Islamic world, that's not because they're Arab or Islamic that the issue lies. But if you're coming in with a mentality, if your mentality is, and as a group, oftentimes it is, if your mentality is, we're going to transform the place in which we're coming, then the people making the immigration policies need to be aware of that and be more careful about who they are letting in. I do like from this interview that the gentleman doing the interview asked Tommy Robinson, like, what would you say to somebody that lives in the UAE and is saying, well, what's this guy all about? He's talking against Muslim immigration. It's like, no, it's not about Muslim immigration. It's not about Muslims. And it's not really about immigration. It's really about, do you want, he asked the same question to those in the Emirates. So would you want a group of people coming into your country and saying, this is how we're going to live, and if you don't like it, tough on you, and we're going to keep growing and populating and coming in until your country is completely changed. The worldview, the value system, the idea that it's based on is completely changed. A country wants to and should preserve that which it represents, that which it embodies. And so this is where the concern lies with many countries in the West, particularly in Europe right now, where the numbers of Islamic immigrants from many nations have come with a different ideology, not just a difference in religious faith, but wanting to supplant the current status quo of what the laws of those countries are with their own set of laws. And so that is where the issue lies, and that's where the issue needs to be focused in on. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.